everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're really excited today. We have a bonus episode. We are putting on our holiday caps and we are talking about one of the classics, Christmas in Connecticut, and the remake of that classic, which is not a classic, from 1992. But it's a lot of fun to talk about. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Molly is here.
Hello, I'm glad to be back.
Yay. Yes. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty well. If you've been following my Twitter, you've been seeing I've been binging a lot of Barbara Stanwyck films. So
Yes.
this is what brought this.
Yes. Yeah. Tell me the backstory of that? Because yes, pretty much it's are you getting a PhD in Barbara Stanwyck films?
I wish I could put that to a PhD.
Yeah, I think you should.
No, it started because I just randomly watched another movie, The Mad Miss Manton, and it was really good. And I thought, this is just like she's doing something that I'm not used to. And then I watched The Lady Eve in theaters. It was the second
Yeah.
time I watched it, and I watched it with the whole crowd, and we were
Yeah.
laughing like our grandparents did when that movie came out. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I need to watch more of these because I already knew Double Indemnity, I knew Lady Eve, and I was like, I need to get into this. And so I just
Yeah.
started binge watching at a time and then noticing her technique and noticing just she has the best crying eyes I've ever seen
Yeah.
in cinema, except for Shah Rukh Khan. I think he's the best male crier. She is the
Uh-huh.
best female crier in all of cinema. Like she will just blink in one moment and then her tears start just getting wet and big. And I'm just her eyes, and she's still got the tears in her eyes.
Eyes.
Like, oh my God. And everything she does with her eyes is just
Yeah.
incredible. Like she can change it in 3 seconds and it just conveys so much just with her eyes. It's
Yeah. Yeah. She's right up there with like Betty Davis and
mhm.
Joan Crawford. I think those are like the eyes, the
Yes.
eyes actors in
Yes,
that
the big
era.
eye actors, like the ones you
Yeah.
can tell, just like they could just do a little smirk and just from their facial expression, they just convey so much.
Yeah.
And and
But
but
I
yeah,
think you could totally PhD this thing. Like the way it would be like a PhD dissertation would be like the impact on on the industrial cinematic industrial complex of Barbara Stanwyck and her proto-feminist films or something like that.
I
I'm telling
did
you,
find
right there.
someone did a class on gender studies, but with Barbara Stanwyck performances.
Yes.
I was like, okay, this is amazing. I would have loved to have taken this course because she
Definitely.
changes so much for every single one of her roles. It's just, even though she still has that Brooklyn accent for most of them, but it's
Yes.
still just like, this is a completely different person.
Well,
Every
and
one.
what's so interesting about her is that she like straddled the pre-code and post-code, and so you kind
Yes,
of saw both of that in her performances.
exactly. And then you can go from a film where she goes from a sex worker to basically sleeping her way to the corporate ladder in Babyface, which was one of the biggest films that caused the code to be established. And then her final film, she plays a lesbian brothel keeper. And you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we went from immorality back to immorality. It just took a couple
Mm-hmm.
decades. And that's what's impressive. And she kept working. She was also an action star during a time when a lot of people weren't, because she also did a lot of horseback riding. And
Mm.
that kept her employed when a lot of her contemporaries were unfortunately dropped because they got older. How dare they get old?
Yeah.
But she could ride a horse. She was a professional horse racer. Just like, yeah, I could do that. I will do these stunts for you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how she still had that. And so, as I like to joke, I'm just like, what Tom Cruise is to running, Barbara Stanwyck is to horse riding, because there's so many horse riding scenes in her movies. And
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah,
Is there one that you think is underrated or like a hidden gem?
uh, there's actually quite a few, but
Yeah, I bet. Well, I don't know if it would consider it a hidden gem, but I do think it's underappreciated is Meet John Doe.
oh, I love Meet John Doe.
I loved that movie so
Yes.
much. I thought it had like such heart and soul when
Mhm.
he gives that address at the end,
Mhm.
and it's really good. And I don't feel like you ever hear it get talked about as one of
I
the
know.
great
And
holiday
it's
films.
in the public domain too. Why is no one watching it? You can watch it right on
Mhm.
YouTube. I think people are like, oh, they're like, I only have room for one Frank Capra Christmas movie, and I'm going
Yeah.
to do It's a Wonderful Life. Like, no, this is almost just as good,
Yeah,
or
it really
even
is.
just as good for many people.
Yeah, it's just like this combination of Mr. Deeds and of Mr. Deeds Goes to Town and even a little bit of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington in there. It's just like
Yes,
all of his themes and but so well done. Really good. Yeah.
he's so good.
So I would say that one is one that's a little bit underappreciated, but she has so many movies. I mean, she
I
was so
know.
prolific.
I know she was just like on average like 3 to 4 films a year
Oh
from
my
19
gosh.
1930 up to at least 1947 or 46, I believe that was her, because she just kept
Mhm.
working. That was kind of
Yeah.
her thing. That's what she loved to do. They'd be like, you want to go on vacation? No, I'm not. I have to do this. Like, I like to joke, just like 1941. It's just like you get a Barbara Stanwyck movie for every season.
Yeah,
And
you
she had
really
four
did.
films
That's
released
true.
that year.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. I mean, going into this project, did you have a favorite? And then do you have like a new favorite, or is it still your favorite?
well, my favorite was at first like either a tie between Double Indemnity and The Lady Eve, but then it became
Uh-huh.
Ball of Fire. And that one is
Oh,
free on
yeah.
YouTube. You're in North America. I highly recommend watching it. It is just so good. It's now in my top 5 films. But, but yeah, and
I've heard of that one, but I haven't seen it. So I need to get
it's
on that.
so good. It is so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I believe that one and also The Lady Eve, that inspired for the Disney fans out there, it inspired the characterization of Meg from Hercules, her performances.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense. I can
actually
see
a thing
that.
that they got Susan Egan to be a part of it because she heard just like, you're basing this Disney character off of Barbara Stanwyck. She's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the Lady Eve. It's hilarious. Like I debate, do I like Home Beach Story better or the Lady Eve? They're both really good for
They
Preston
are.
Sturgis.
Hmm.
I also really like Unfaithfully Yours. That one is just the how it's filmed
Hmm.
and the it's just such a weird movie that I like that one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
But so many good
I
ones.
know he's just Preston Sturges is a great filmmaker. I just
Yeah.
all his works,
Yeah.
even
What
the stuff
about
he didn't direct. I like the stuff he wrote.
Yeah. What about Christmas in Connecticut? Was that one that you were a big fan of going into this project or
I was,
where
yeah,
are
I
you at?
already knew
Yeah.
about it. It was kind of funny. The first time I ever watched it was on an airplane to Washington,
Oh, really?
not DC.
That's
But yeah,
funny.
and it was just like it was right after Christmas. I was visiting a friend over there in Spokane, and
Uh-huh.
classics, okay. And then Christmas in Connecticut was right
Yeah.
in there, and I was like, "That's been on my watch list. I will watch this. I have a 5 hour flight."
Yeah.
And I just loved it. And the seatmate was right next to me, just watching a recent film. They're just looking at me like poser, just watching a black and white movie.
You're like, oh, you
I
can,
do have to admit
yeah,
something controversial. Christmas
yes.
in Connecticut is not my favorite Barbara Stanwyck Christmas movie.
Always remember the night. That's your
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my favorite. Even though she's been in so many movies that have Christmas scenes that she basically has a Christmas canon.
Yeah. I mean, Remember the Night isn't as much of a screwball comedy.
And no, it's more of a drama, like a romantic dramedy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I
It was
like
written by
it.
Preston Sturges, even though he hated the direction. He wanted it to be more screwball. So that's why
Oh,
after that,
really?
he went right into directing. He said, my scripts are going to be directed by me only after this.
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I just love how this just leans into the nonsense,
Mhm.
and it's so funny, and it's
Yes.
but yet somehow it's interesting because we'll talk about because the 1992 even takes it to like I think a whole nother level, but it
Yes.
oddly doesn't work. And so
No.
it's all about sort of calibrating your nonsense,
Mhm.
you know?
It really is. And it's also a ridiculous plot in the first film, because
Oh
they
yeah.
we're going to get away with this. So I guess we
But
need to
I'm just
explain
saying,
what they
like
think.
that, the original film, it works, it calibrates it
Mhm.
right.
It
Whereas I
really
think
does.
1992, I think maybe because for the most part, with in Christmas in the original, it's really only her character that is the nonsense.
Yeah,
Whereas like in 1992 film, every character is lying and every
exactly.
character is playing a part and ridiculous. And so I think that's where the like this is so much more funny because you have so many straight men to
Yes.
bounce off her energy and lies.
Hmm. Exactly. And her friend, played by SC Skulls, who we
Yeah.
love. He's so great. He's also in Ball of Fire, but he only has one line with her. And
Oh, okay.
I remember watching, I was like, no, but I'm like, well, at least you guys have Christmas in Connecticut together where you get to
Yeah.
bounce off each other.
Because if you think about it, like the boss, he doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
boss, the judge doesn't know
Yeah,
about
Sydney
it.
Greenstreet. Yeah.
This soldier, Dennis Morton,
Mhm.
he doesn't know anything about it.
Oh.
The Felix doesn't really know what's
Well,
going
he
on.
knows that it is, but he's just like, okay, I'm still going to help with this.
Yeah, like he's still kind of confused
Mhm.
about things a little bit. So I'm just saying, like, she's the only one that has that's actively lying
Mhm.
in most of our scenes. And so and that makes things funny because you have all these people that are responding as normal humans would to
Mhm.
this man to this craziness, and that's funny as
Yeah.
opposed to a crazy person responding to a crazy person who's playing it, like when they're all in it, it just makes it not as funny.
Yes. Well, and the guy who is her technically fiance, John Sloan, her friend who's been wanting her, who has this house in
Yeah.
Connecticut, who wants to marry her anyway, but she's never wanted to marry him. So it's like,
Yeah, so he knows as well, but
mhm.
he's also still kind of a straight man
Yeah, he
because
really is.
because of his buttoned up character.
I like to describe him as like a poor man's Adolphe Menjou, and I don't even like him, Adolphe Menjou, because he and Stanley worked together in a couple films, and I do not
Mhm.
care for their pairing, even though they were a fascinating pairing in Frank Capra's Forbidden. I was
Oh,
like, I don't like this guy. He's
is
kind
that
of
good? Forbidden?
it is good. It is melodramatic. It almost feels like
Interesting.
it could have been remade by Douglas Sirk in the 50s.
Oh,
50s with that, but it would not
yeah.
have been approved because Barbara Stanwyck's an unwed mother and she has an illegitimate child, and they would not have approved of that.
Oh, was it post code?
It was pre-code,
Oh,
1932.
pre-code.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. This is a little bit tricky to figure out how the best way to do this, but let's talk about the original a little bit first and then
Yes.
talk about 1992 and maybe some contrasting.
Mhm.
So this original film, basically the premise is that she is a successful writer for these like women's magazines, and she creates this illusion of this incredible Elizabeth Lane, this
Mhm.
lifestyle writer, homemaking tips, articles, things like that. And she doesn't know how to do any of it. She like
Yeah.
she doesn't know how to cook, doesn't know how to, and there is a soldier
Mhm.
who is injured he's at the hospital, and he has a horrible food. He starts sort of flirting with this nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this nurse is kind of a terrible person. I mean, to give to like soldier to give a soldier less good food because
Well, she does make a point that he starved longer than the friend he saved, which was the plot point with that. Just like, oh, because he saved the friend, that's how she gets the idea to send a letter to this magazine that she really likes. And that's where they get the idea to have a Christmas dinner with Elizabeth Lane at her Connecticut farm.
But you would just think that like just being a wounded soldier, that'd be enough to give him some good food. Like we don't need a more motivation.
Swimming in your milk.
Yeah, gross.
And now let's not even have that now, since we're not going to have that tested.
Like I guess that they must have just figured, oh, it has a lot of protein. I guess
that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was gnarly. But yeah, he's a hero. And so he decides in order to get good food, he starts flirting with the nurse. They end up basically becoming engaged.
Yes.
This nurse. And then the nurse writes a letter to the magazine that this soldier should get the perfect Elizabeth Lane Christmas. And meanwhile, Elizabeth has just gotten her first fur coat. It's very exciting. Yes. And she's very successful. But it's all this lie, you know. I mean, it's very similar to like somebody with like a pen name, basically.
Yeah.
And
single and living in New York by herself. Yeah. Except for her best friend who has the restaurant right next door that feeds her and cooks for her, Felix. Who is MVP, best boy.
He's great. I love him.
Yes.
Really fun. And so they get this letter and they're like, you need to give him the perfect Christmas. And basically she's going to tell that this is all fake. She can't do it. But her friend is like, hey, that's going to hurt my career as well if you spoil the secret. And I have a family to provide for and whatever. So she's like, okay, fine. And he's like, you can fake it basically, and just for a couple days. And so that's what gets this all rolling. And it's just, I think it's so funny because everybody's reactions are like very understandable and very funny. Yes. And they just know how long to milk each joke, like to get things really well.
They really do. I always love just like, no one needs a mink, but a mink. And I'm just like, I remember the first time watching that, she has that mink coat and she's like, that takes 6 months salary. I'm like, what? What? Yeah. Like watching I Love Lucy has really put into perspective how expensive clothes were back then, because Lucy would buy hats for like $49.95. Like, oh, that's not bad. And then I see like $500 today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like a fur coat is going to be especially so, but still, that it's also just a sign of her, like something to her that's a sign of success for her.
Exactly.
You know that it's not. Just
and like she is a great writer. It's just that she's been lying about what she can do. But she is great with it. And I'm not sure a real great cook would be able to write what she does and actually make it sell. And that's a big important part. I think gets remiss in a lot of analysis of this. That's a
good point. Yeah.
She's a great journalist.
And my favorite gag of all of the gags is the baby. Everything with the baby is absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
And I just think it's so funny.
She thought it was a boy at first, like, oh, its name is Robert.
Yeah.
And at first she doesn't know how to clean the baby and change the baby, but lo and behold, Jefferson actually knows. Commander Jefferson knows, because he is the perfect man and he loves taking care of his sister's babies, that he knows how to wash a baby and also knows how to change her diaper. And of course, when she's in the tub, she's like, in the tub. He's like, oh, didn't you say their name was Robert? Oh, Roberta.
Roberta, yeah.
Like,
She doesn't look anything like you.
like, no. Does she look anything like her dad?
Yeah.
Oh, heavens, no. Anything like her husband? Oh, heavens, no.
Yeah, because the factory workers in the town, and this is quite the factory, literally making them work on Christmas, like
I know.
intense. But they bring over their babies.
Yes.
And then the second day, it's a different baby.
Yeah.
And so that's a hilarious joke.
It's a blonde boy instead of the brunette girl. Just like, and then they have to, and Felix has to say, just like, he swallowed my watch. Just like, what? And her boss, played great by Sidney Greenstreet. I love him in this role really as Alexander Yardley. He's so good. Just like that baby looks different. Well, wouldn't you look different if you swallowed a watch? But he's blonde. Mama.
You swallowed a watch.
And he's talking.
Well, I mean, and it's interesting because in 92, they have the baby gag, but it's just one baby.
Yeah, there's no second baby.
It's just not as funny because
no, it's not.
You just kind of feel like, oh my gosh, I'm a little concerned because all of these people are concerning. Like none of them should have a child.
Because at least you're like, okay, Jefferson at least knows how to take care of a baby.
Yeah.
He is just the perfect dad. He is the perfect man, and that's why we love him.
Yeah. But
it's kind of funny to see how they wrote his character because you could tell that they're just like, okay, we have to make it the perfect man that a woman would fall for. And that's why he works, because women love men who can cook, who can clean, who actually don't mind if you lie to them about this stuff and are actually very forgiving, and also know how to take care of a baby and doesn't complain and is happy to do it.
I mean, the trickiest thing that this movie has is developing this romance and not making Jefferson seem like a creep.
Exactly.
That he thinks he's about to kiss a married woman.
Yeah.
Or going on some romantic sleigh rides, or the whole scene with the cow is absolutely hilarious.
Yes. Nice firm rump.
It's my favorite. But it's a tricky thing. I mean, I would think, especially back then.
Yeah.
To have somebody getting more and more interested in who he thinks is a married woman, like keeping that character likable was pretty tough.
And also technically, while he's technically engaged.
That too. And so you do have to, I think, suspend disbelief a little bit. You know, it's all absurd and ridiculous, but so well executed that it works. Exactly. Did you know that Edith Head designed Barbara Stanwyck's clothes?
Yes, I did. She was actually contracted to be Barbara Stanwyck's head designer for a long time. They became very close friends. It was first Interns Don't Take Money was the first film they worked on. And originally Edith Head, she didn't even get a screen credit, a costume credit at the time, because she was just an intern. And she was assigned to do Barbara Stanwyck's costume, and that's where they met. And Barbara Stanwyck loved her work so much on there. She had it in their contract, just like she needs to do my costumes. In fact, I think it's Wikipedia lists that she's actually did most costumes for Barbara Stanwyck for the longest time. And Barbara Stanwyck, they became best friends. And Barbara actually helped her, because Edith Head, for the longest time, if you notice in a lot of her photos, she doesn't smile open mouth. It's because she was missing 2 front teeth for the longest time.
I didn't know
and
that.
Barbara said to her, I think you'll like my dentist, and go, and I'll help you pay for this as well. And Edith Head got teeth from Barbara's dentist. So,
wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I mean, of course, Edith Head, if people listening aren't aware, she was a legend in costume design and films like My Fair Lady and things like that. So she was incredible, and so that was interesting to me because watching it with that knowledge of being like, okay, this was like carefully selected costumes, in a way that I hadn't really noticed or paid attention to before, especially at the dance.
Yes. Oh, yes. Like Edith Head could do really well with that. It also, because Edith Head was very aware that, in case you don't know, I'm sure a lot of people don't know, I didn't learn this till I read Victoria Wilson's biography. Barbara Stanwyck had a disability. She she irrevocably really hurt her spine during a horse riding scene for Forbidden. In fact, for the longest time, she was a little scared of horses until later on, which is ironic. But after falling and hitting her spine like her coccyx, it actually caused permanent nerve damage. And because she also wanted to finish the scene, she refused to go to the hospital and finish the scene till after. And she had to get bed rest, and it was pretty bad. And so she would get flare-ups of back pain from that spinal injury. And so for a lot of her costumes, Edith Head would make sure to strategically make it so she could have her back brace on if she really needed to.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's really
Which is also why you see that Barbara Stanwyck has like either leaning like this, like a full back or she's like standing very upright, very good posture. It's because she usually has that back brace on. Mm-hmm.
That's really good. That's very interesting to learn. So an iconic scene in this movie is the flipping of the flapjacks.
Yes.
Yeah, which is really fun. And the boss, wants to see, everybody wants to see. She must have worked this into a lot of these articles because people,
they literally love the flapjack flip. And Felix has to teach her, and it doesn't work with him.
I just feel like, why doesn't she just say, "Oh, I need a spatula"?
Yeah. Nope. Gotta flip it.
Gotta flip it
like professional in the air.
And at first, when she's doing it, it like sticks on the ceiling.
Yes.
Really fun. Really fun.
Next on the stove.
Yeah. So they go to this Christmas dance, and there's a lot of flirting. That he says, a lot of says, where is it? Let me see where it says here. Jefferson Jones, are you flirting with me?
Yes.
And he says, I find it hard to believe you're married. I don't feel that I'm married. Have you ever kissed a married woman? You're not.
I don't.
Yeah. And so that's, I don't know, they managed to pull that off. It's tricky. And I do agree that basically Dennis Morgan in this movie is kind of the perfect man.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that works in a lot of archetypes, but it does those archetypes so well. And it was also like one of the first of Christmas movies of this type that I at least am aware of.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of Hallmark fans, you should watch this movie because it really is the ancestor to so much, not only a fake relationship, we see that in so many rom-coms, but also just the banter, the style of the banter, and so many scenes like you'd see in a modern Hallmark movie, like the sleigh ride scene and the dance scene, and
also the perfect man who does desire the farm life and not living in the city.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, the perfect man. And then so you really should watch this movie if you like Hallmark movies, because this is the one that started it all. This and I think Holiday Affair. I think those two movies, you see so much, almost all of the archetypes between those two movies.
Yes.
Because that's got like the meet cute. Holiday Affair has the meet cute and the wrong guy and like a great wrong guy. And when Robert Mitchum gives that speech, and he's like, I couldn't love whatever his name is like more if he was my own brother, but sorry.
And Robert Mitchum pulls that role off really well. He does. I was so surprised because I'm used to him in his film noir roles, and so I'm like, oh, he can do romantically really well. I think if you were going to do a trilogy of early Christmas rom-coms, you'd have to say, because I don't really think of It's a Wonderful Life as a rom-com. It's too dramatic. But so true rom-coms, I would say Holiday Affair, Christmas in Connecticut, and Miracle on 34th Street. Yeah. I think those are the three. Iconic.
Okay. Welcome to the Pilot Podcast. My name is BJ.
And my name is Me Too. And we promise this promo is worth it, so please don't skip ahead.
We're two judgy friends who put our judgmental skills to work for you. We review the pilot episodes of new and popular shows and shows that our listeners request to answer your question, should I watch this?
Look, a lot of us are spending a lot more time at home, and yes, we should be reading and trying new projects and enriching ourselves, but does anything beat binging a great show?
Let us take the guesswork out of deciding what your next show will be. Tune in to The Pilot Podcast at thepilotpodcast.com.
Because I actually just watched This Wonderful Life because I did a different episode with a friend on the remake of that.
Oh,
and that
wow.
remake is actually like it was a very tricky as a critic. I almost didn't know what to do with it because I think it's actually like a decent movie, but it is literally shot for shot. Like I would rather watch this 1992 remake of This Christmas in Connecticut, even though I think substantively it's a worse movie, but it's than that remake, but of It's a Wonderful Life. But the only difference, literally, they recycle dialogue.
Whoa.
Word for word in scenes. And so the only difference is that it's a female it's Mary Bailey and not George Bailey. That's almost literally the only difference. And and I guess I would rather watch something that's bonkers and kind of bad then why would I, in no world would I ever
like
watch that again? It's kind of like the Psycho remake with Gus Van Sant.
You're just like, why am I watching this if I can just watch the original? It's the same movie.
There's no world where I wouldn't just watch It's Wonderful Life. Like, so I don't know. Remakes are a tricky thing. And I mean, I give them like a tiny bit of grace on This Wonderful Life thing just because it was made in 1977 and it didn't get into public domain until 1974. And so it was really before it became this iconic thing.
Yeah.
And so like, I give them a little bit of a leeway because, but still like just even copying dialogue, it just makes you feel kind of. And Frank Capra, he was on record saying he felt like it was plagiarized, and he's absolutely right about that.
Yes, it really is. It's like you could even made it subversive because they've done so many parodies of It's a Wonderful Life. Maybe
now they have, then they hadn't, but still, still. I would just rather watch something that's like messy, but at least
trying something
new than a shot for shot remake. But anyway, back to this original film. Everything with the flapjacks is so fun.
Yes,
I love that. And everything's just so swoony. I think like pretty good chemistry.
They really do. I am shocked they only starred in one movie together because I'm just like they work so well together. They could have done more, but unfortunately it was going more for Barbara Stanwyck was more going for more film noir roles at the time because the romantic comedy, a lot of those roles were the really good ones were drying up in her opinion. And she was also almost 40. So back then, especially, it was like, ugh. And you couldn't do like Nicole Kidman and have the best plastic surgeon of all time. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, but she looks younger than that to me.
She really does. My dad was shocked when I brought up with Ball of Fire. She was 34, 35 in that film. And my dad I thought she was in her late 20s.
Yeah.
And like, she was chain smoking and still looking that good. I don't think she was a drinker. That's probably what helped. Because I love Betty Davis, but you look at Betty Davis, she was not aging as gracefully. I loved Betty Davis, but but and then she started doing a bit more Westerns as well. In fact, she in like 5 years after that, she did The Furies, a film I adore. I love. I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's a masterpiece. And I think everyone should watch that. And it's kind of hilarious because in the book from The Furies, she's playing a 19-year-old. And I'm like, you're 42.
It's interesting how some people like you have some people who are able to play older very young, like Maggie Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, she was playing.
Angela Lansbury was playing everyone's mom.
Yeah, that's true. Even as far as Angela Lansbury was playing in a Manchurian Candidate.
Yes. And she was only like 3 years older than Lawrence Harvey.
Yeah. And then other people, they can play young for so long. They just have
the young genes.
Yeah. But so the woman comes to the second baby, the woman comes to get her baby, and then the boss thinks they're stealing the baby, and she was traumatized. And then when they get back and they're all like, oh, that's fine about the baby, and he's like, what
baby's been kidnapped, and like, oh, it's fine.
Of all
And
the
then she
callous,
actually admits to him,
irresponsible
just
women in my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I'm just tired. In short, I'm tired. And bringing up the list, just like, yeah, I'm done with this. And then
Yeah.
after their sales
And-
rank was going up, it's just like, oh, now you want to rehire me. She's like, nah,
Yeah.
I'd rather have this life instead with my commander, my World War II hero.
She's fallen in love with this whippersnapper.
Yes.
Such blatant immorality.
I know. Engaged and she's married.
Yeah. And then they have like 2 women show up with the babies. I mean,
Yep.
what is happening in this factory that these women
I know that they have to work on Christmas Day, but
they have to
can
work on
take-
Christmas Day and that they have no childcare. Like
Yeah, no.
evidently they are more than willing to hand their babies off to total strangers.
Yes. I think they know the Sloan because that's his house. So like at least we know him.
I guess. Yeah.
But yeah.
But and the great scene with Felix talking to the boss
Yes.
and he's making kidneys.
Mhm.
And he says that I love when this line though, he says, I don't cook for people who aren't nice to my friends.
Yes.
That was a
Don't
great
cook for
line.
people. That's
Yeah. And then
MVP.
so he lies and says that Elizabeth has an offer
Mhm.
from the other
Yes.
studio or whatever.
Uh-huh. The other
Yeah.
publication. Yeah.
And it just says fresh meat receipt.
Yes.
And so that's all the boss needs. He's like, I'm going to offer you a raise.
Yes.
And you're the most
And she-
unreasonable woman I've ever met.
And she's like, no, I'm not taking that. Bye.
Yeah. And then he says, Jefferson says, pardon me, gentlemen, this is where I take over.
Yes.
Which is really good. I think that if they were going to do a real remake of Christmas in Connecticut, I think you'd want Ryan Gosling.
Oh, I could see that. I
Right?
could see that. Ryan Gosling. I can see him being such a baby daddy.
Yes.
Well, not like, but like loving babies, could actually taking care of them, and being a stay-at-home dad if you wanted to. It's like I can see Ryan Gosling pulling that off very well.
Yeah.
And of course, singing and playing the piano like Dennis Morgan does.
Yeah, I mean, you could even have Emma Stone. She could
I
do
know.
it. She's done rom-coms.
She can be Barbara
Come
Stanwyck
back.
character. She can do
Yeah.
it. Come on. She can
There we
play. She can
go.
do a husky voice. She can make it work.
It's $1 million idea. I'm telling
Yes.
you, Hollywood, you're listening.
Yes.
Do it.
Make it.
But then we have him going into the room.
Mhm.
Now I am the type that does kiss married
Kiss
women.
women. I have decided I am the type.
Yeah. I'm as free as a bird. Oh, that's
Yes.
what you think.
Yes.
She can't cook, but what a wife.
I know. She's like, can't cook. I just feel like she's clasping his face in the back.
Here's the deal about cooking
Mhm.
is that people get overwhelmed about the idea of I can or cannot cook.
Yeah.
I think every human being can learn 5 recipes. If
Mhm.
you know 5 recipes, you can survive.
Mhm.
5 recipes, especially if it's something that you can like multitask. Like
Yeah.
you learn how to make a red sauce, then you can have it on chicken. You can have it on,
Yes.
you could have it on fish. You could have it on,
Mhm.
any kind of protein,
Yep. Mhm.
mushrooms if you wanted, whatever. And so if you learn, so to make it less overwhelming, just have 5 recipes that you can master. Just focus on those 5. I'm going to learn how to make pork chops. I'm going to learn how to make tacos. I'm going to learn how to make chili. 5 recipes, and you'll be good.
Yeah.
Like we overcomplicate it.
We really do. We really do, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody gets so worried and scared. I'm like, I make salmon. I make a lot of fish because especially if I get home late, I'm like, it's defrosted. Fish is so quick to cook. So
Yeah,
you're
that's
just
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I am making scrambled eggs.
Mhm.
That's something.
Oh
you can
yeah,
have
that's
in-
easy. Mhm.
Have that in your repertoire. We overcomplicate it, but,
Mhm. Really do.
but
I
yeah,
will s- yeah.
I really do love Christmas in Connecticut. I think
Yes.
it's just genuinely so funny. It's so
Mhm.
swoony. I love all of the actors. They just did such a good job, and yeah, it's great. And it feels like there's enough sort of satire about traditional femininity, traditional roles, traditional romance, all that stuff's in there, which adds a layer to all the comedy. It holds up, I think, very well.
I think it does too. Yeah. Oh, especially Dennis Morgan as being the perfect man. It's just like, he's still the perfect man.
He really is.
Yes.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Well, let's talk about this 1992 film. So this film, it was directed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, his only film. Random.
Yes.
Random.
Indeed. He did apparently do a Tales from the Crypt episode, but that's it.
That's funny. Yeah. And it's basically the same plot. But she's a cooking show host, a cookbook author. But instead of making him a war hero, they have him be this kind of reclusive forest guy.
Yeah. And his first scene is him exercising and doing pull-ups on his chairs and then on his bar, because you have to be instantly reminded, oh, this is an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah. And the one item, so his house catches on fire. And the one item that survives the fire is one of her cookbooks, but he doesn't even really care.
Yeah, because that was for his sister.
This cookbook. And this stars Diane Cannon and Chris Christopherson. And I have to say, I know Diane Cannon pretty much just because she was married to Cary Grant. Like, that's the main reason.
I know her from The Last of Sheila. Great movie. If you've never seen it, I really love it. And I thought she did a fantastic job in that movie, playing that original Hollywood casting agent type. She did really well. But yeah, mostly I know her as Cary Grant's last wife.
Yeah, and widow, the mother of his daughter.
Yep,
he had a child with. That's how most of how I know Diane Cannon. And and also in is it? I forget if it's Sleepless in Seattle or no, I think it's You've Got Mail.
Oh that's right.
When Tom Hanks does his Cary Grant impression, he's like, "Do you think that's what?" Cary Grant was saying to Diane Cannon.
Oh yeah, not his widow. Pardon me. They did divorce before he died, but
yeah.
I was like, how did I know? Oh, Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. I forgot about that one. She was nominated for an Oscar for that one.
And
but I'm more known Allie Wood from there.
She did not look old enough to be a grandma, but she was 55 when this.
I know. I was surprised. I was like, what is this 40-year-old grandma doing in here? And then I was like, wait, she was 55?
Yeah, she did not look it at all, and not in a synthetic way at all. Like she held her youthfulness very, very well. And so when they said that she was supposed to be this grandma, I was like, what?
I know. I think it's also because they really wanted to cast Chris Christopherson.
Yeah.
Because he was 56 at the time and he was looking a little crusty there. So
yeah,
unfortunately, but he was still pretty handsome regardless, because it's Chris Christopherson.
Yeah. He was pretty handsome, but we get the idea that he likes being by himself. He's he's kind of a loner, but he does this heroic thing. He kind of just goes along with everything to try to help all these people out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he
doesn't
saves
even
this
seem
boy
that
from a
sad.
snowstorm. And
Yeah, he doesn't even seem that sad about his house.
no, it's like, yeah, I got insurance, buddy. Are you going to bring that up? No, not too sad. Just got to build up again. Like,
So again, the problem with this movie is that it's one thing in Christmas in Connecticut in the original to have her character be the liar and the kind of insane person, and everybody else is fairly normal. In this movie, everybody is wackadoodle, except for maybe her character, which is, so it's like the opposite almost.
Yeah, because she's the one trying to be level-headed about this, and the stakes are much lower in this film, because in the original she already spent 6 months of her salary right there.
Yeah, that's true.
And she's going to lose her job. And with this one, what's her thing that she spends a lot of money on? Baby glass figurines, which I'm just like,
it was weird.
That is not the equivalent of $500,000 right there, like a mink coat would be in today's money.
Yeah, that was a weird flex. I was like,
it was like Arnold Schwarzenegger's wondering to himself, what do older women like? Baby figurines. Like she hides it like an addiction, like in her coat, and she just puts it on her piano, just like hides it from her cook, her end apartment cook, who I think is supposed to be like Felix's character, but she's not. She's barely given any development.
I mean, she's supposed to be pretending to be the wife of Tony Curtis.
Yes.
And you don't buy that for even a second.
No.
Like, at least in the original, her fake relationship with Sloane like feels somewhat believable.
Yeah.
You never believe in a million years this woman is interested in Tony Curtis.
I'm just movie. Like, when I see Tony Curtis, I'm just like, I can't tell if his character is addicted to cocaine or this is what Arnold Schwarzenegger believes gay people are like, and very gay people. I think it was
check. I think both of those things.
He was going off more than anyone in the film, and I was like, ooh, someone told Tony to just lay off the nose candy before every shoot, just like for every shot. He was going like a mile a minute, and you're like, Tony, slow down, stop. There's also this weird scene where he's unpacking his stuff in the Connecticut house, and he takes out a wand, like a sex wand. And then I was like, what was the purpose of this? It's like, just say,
there's like a vibrator.
Yeah, it's a vibrator. And I was just like, is this what Arnold Schwarzenegger believes gay men have, or what they do? Just like,
I think so. And then the baby joke is not as effective in this one because
it's only one.
Only one, and it's his niece.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they have an older child as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of feel you're like concerned, like that.
Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger seems to love fat kid jokes, and you're just like,
that's true.
With this kid, like this older kid, like the first thing is that he's just like, you give me $20, I'll give you a nice big hug, Grandma. But then the other jokes is that, like, don't eat that Yule cake, and then near the end just vomiting it right. I thought
that was pretty funny
tree.
When he just throws up in the tree.
Yeah. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger just likes likes poking fun of fat kids.
Yeah, that's true, but I did laugh when he throws up in the tree. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
but that's true. He does well, and at least this didn't, because in the 90s we definitely went through a phase where every single comedy thought it had to be Home Alone.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Even something like 101 Dalmatians, or that every comedy had to have like over the top.
There had to be something with goop or people falling in goop, violence.
But like his sister is not a good mother, because he should not be allowing this man, any of these people, to be taking care of her child.
No,
because they're not stable.
No. And of course the husband is like this method actor, and I remember posting this on Twitter where he basically is playing the Terminator in one scene. He takes the sunglasses off Tony Curtis's head, and I swear it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice dubbed in saying, "I'll be back."
Yeah, there's an "I'll be back" drop.
Yep.
And
yep.
So yes, so he's pretending to be this guy is pretending to be her son-in-law.
Yeah, son-in-law. Yeah.
And then her assistant is pretending to be her daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of shenanigans with that. There were some funny moments and that I thought made me laugh, but again, they just don't get the dynamics right.
They really don't.
To really land the comedy, I think, the way that they want to.
No. I think another issue I had was like, I like Chris Christopherson, but his character was not meant to be a heterosexual woman's ideal man in this one. He is the ideal man for a heterosexual man, what a heterosexual man believes a heterosexual woman should desire.
I can see that.
It's really like, I thought I had to burst out laughing when he brings up just like when taking care of the baby. It's like, oh, you're so good at taking care of this baby. Yeah, I took care of this mama bear's cubs. And I was like, what? What? Mama bear's bear cubs? I was just like, what? Just randomly added that. And of course, there's scenes of him just like chopping wood with his axe and taking her hunting, even though she's not sure. But it's just
that was a wild scene, that hunting scene.
Yeah.
And he gets mad when she distracts him from shooting the goose. And
yes.
I mean, it's hard to imagine that in these articles that she's writing that she's really talking about hunting.
Yeah, no.
That doesn't seem like something like in Good Housekeeping.
No. And she has this show. She's not talking about hunting on a cooking show. Rachel Ray and Martha Stewart were not talking about hunting their own food. But Art Schwarzenegger's got to add that. And then I was also claimed for this with my friend. I was like, you have Chris Christopherson. In the original film, you had Dennis Morgan playing the piano and singing a song to her while she's decorating the tree. Why did you not have him playing the guitar and singing a song to her, basically serenading her? And my friend said, it's because it's too gay, Molly. It's just, but it's not heterosexual male ideal.
The substitute for that is they have him be like super thirsty.
Exactly.
Every time she leans over, they give this like a look of him being like,
yeah, like he's never even seen a woman. It's just like it kind of reminded me a bit of Gary Cooper's performance in Ball of Fire, because it's very heavily implied in the film that he's a virgin, and so are most of these professors who are there. It's based off Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And the minute and I
didn't know that.
Yeah. That's why I was bringing up, just like, it's the best live action adaptation of Snow White, right? You can watch right now.
Well, I'm a mirror defender, but like, I'll have to check that one out.
Yes,
but
and it was just like, and Gary Cooper, the first time she takes her in Ball of Fire, takes her coat off when she comes to the mansion that he's in, and she's like, "Oh, thanks." She's just walking, and she's got her whole midriff exposed because she's in her nightclub outfit that she has to wear for her performances. And he's like, "Oh, thanks." And he's backed up like.
But it makes because he's so thirsty, it makes the whole married woman element not as funny.
No, exactly.
Because there's never really any doubt that he's like, it's not like there's the tension of like, I really shouldn't do this. Like there's never really, he's like,
and there's way more at stake in the original film, because Sloane is kind of using this house to be like, we are going to get married, because he's been in love with her this whole time. Sloane has been the dog and nice guy, even though he's kind of a jerk who doesn't tip well, which I love. One of the first things we see about Sloane after that is that he tips like crap. And then Jefferson comes in and he's just like, "I'll be $1. Oh, thanks." And he gives an extra $1 on top of that. He's like, "Gee, thanks. Merry Christmas." And Barbara Stanwyck immediately looks like, "I want to jump your bones right there," because you give good tips right there. And this one, like, you don't get that. You don't get that because Tony Curtis is playing either really gay or really coked out. You're just
well, so you don't have that tension of like, they're literally staying in her house in what is ostensibly supposed to be a happy marriage thing, and so like the fact he's tempted, like whereas like here it's just kind of like he's tempted, that's it.
Yep, that's
it's not as funny. And also like the flapjack scene, this is a good example of just not translating it well.
So elongated,
it's so elongated, but also not funny. Like,
no, it's not.
So she goes to, instead of it landing on the ceiling or something like that, like in the original, she just does it.
Yeah.
I'm
It
like,
just
why would
falls
you
on
do
the
it that
ground.
way? Like, that's funny.
It's like artwork is like, we have to make it a planning and then a payoff, because then near the end, when it gets really messed up for the final broadcast, she has to be like, oh, I have to make up. We're going to make Christmas flapjacks. And you're like, oh God, no.
I did laugh my head off though when when they're cutting down the Christmas tree
Yeah.
and they managed to make it like somehow they're trying to do like flirty axe chopping.
Yeah.
Like,
As I said, heterosexual male ideal of what a woman wants.
yeah, true. But we joke about that a lot in Hallmark movies. Oh, we got a
Yeah.
hot wood chopping scene,
Yes.
But and this, it was just like they were trying to make it like flirty.
Yes.
Wasn't even that manly. It was like
No.
it was very funny.
Yeah. It was just
But yeah, then we have the square dancing. They go to and they go on the sleigh ride, and and Richard Roundtree plays the boss in this one.
Yeah. So yeah, Tony Curtis is playing Alexander Yardley, but that's not Sydney Greenstreet's character in this one, even though it's the same name.
Oh, right.
I guess we should also bring up that her name is not Elizabeth Lane in this one. It's Elizabeth Blaine.
Yeah.
Because it's so clever. Just trying to bring that up. Like, you couldn't even do Elizabeth Stewart or something like that, like a send off of Martha Stewart, or like Martha Lane, something like that. Just, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. And so then they get arrested, just like in the original.
Yep.
And then we have so she says, oh, I'm a married woman, and then he goes and kisses her.
Yep.
Like, he doesn't even seem to have any issues with that.
No, he does not. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
No reservations.
I mean, I know it's in the 90s, but come on, there should be boundaries.
Yeah.
I would think.
Which is surprising to me. I think it's because Arnold Schwarzenegger is thinking, "Ooh, men should be aggressors. They should have this." Yeah. And it's just like, and in the original, Jefferson is just the sweetest heart possible. And of course, after that, he does get a little aggressive in the original, but he's still giving her boundaries to explain that, I don't want to do this. I don't go around kissing married men.
Yeah, I did
or engaged men.
Yeah, I did think that the final broadcast was pretty funny, because so everything's supposed to be all done for her. That's what her assistant is supposed to do, but her assistant has left.
Yeah.
And so like the goose isn't cooked. It's still, so
gotta do the Christmas flapjacks.
Yeah, the Christmas flapjacks and just all of that. Like, that was pretty funny, I think.
And the kid ate the Christmas log, and he's he throws up behind the Christmas tree.
That made me laugh.
While it's going on, and Tony Curtis is trying to save face, especially with Richard Roundtree, his boss.
Yeah.
And trying to hide that.
Like, if it had kind of mined more of that territory in the movie, I think I would have enjoyed it more. Because I thought that it actually, this is funny, because it's got a little bit of that madcap screwball sensibility to it. It's a little bit unpredictable, a little silly. And so the no cooked food, that made me laugh, like her freaking out. And then Tyler coming in, and he's like big, he's acting, in this scene. But then earlier we see Tyler, and it was like right out of a horror movie. He's got
because he's pretending to be a serial killer, because he's a method actor. So it's
like, I'm gonna kill everyone.
With the baby just staring at him, like, Tony Curtis, like,
yeah, and
that scene was kind of funny.
Yeah, but I was just like, this movie could have just taken like a huge turn.
I know.
It'd been like a horror movie all of a sudden.
I was also like, this movie is 10 minutes shorter than the original, and it feels twice as long.
Yeah,
I was just
definitely. Yeah. I agree. And so then we have the biggest fake of all is me.
Yeah.
And then Jefferson punches Tony Curtis in the face.
Yes. I think he kind of earned it though. So because he was just being so annoying. I was like, ooh, thank God, made him shut up.
Yeah. I'd heard about this movie for so long. And so I am glad that I finally checked it off my Christmas movie bucket list to see. I would probably give it 2 crowns, 2 out of 5. Whereas of course I give the original, I would give of course full 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I probably maybe 2.5 if I was being generous.
I don't feel generous. I'm giving it a 1.5 out of 5.
Yeah. So let us
and
know.
The original is 4 for me. So 4 out of 5.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Well, let us know what you think of these movies. If you've seen the remake, let us know what you think of it, what you think of the original. We'd love to hear that. I also, a couple of years ago, I interviewed the music and lyricist, composer and lyricist behind a musical stage adaptation of Christmas in Connecticut. Unfortunately, they really stray quite a bit from the movie, and that was so. But I still, on like kind of a more on sort of like a noises off kind of energy, I thought to it of them all being in the house, and like it had some decent songs. It was a little. I felt like, oh, it could have been great, but it was like fun, and I think I would have, if I had not watched and didn't love the original so much, I think I would have liked it even more because it's like very Hallmarky. But but I kept thinking, oh, why did they get rid of that? Why did they take rid of that? Why did they? But nevertheless, it was still fun to talk with them. And so I'll put a link down if people want to check out that interview because, you know, it's fun and it might be playing, you know, somewhere near you, the Christmas in Connecticut musical. But yeah, it's a classic. You should definitely check it out. And thanks so much for coming and talking with us. This is great.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, and I definitely have to keep an eye out on your Barbara Stanwyck, your year of Stanwyck.
Yes, exactly. I will probably have to do like long threads or like long articles from just like the most underrated films, the films that I think people should get a second look, the films I think are overrated, the films you shouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, well, you need to do one on Meet John Doe.
Oh, I will definitely. I have to. I love that movie.
Yeah, so good. Well, very good. Let us know what you think. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. And Molly, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Raspberry Raz. You can also find me on Letterboxd at Molly Raspberry and on Blue Sky over there as well. And you can find some of my writings on that Letterboxd and also on my WordPress site, mollywoodwrites at wordpress.com.
And I'll put my Letterboxd as well. I would really encourage all the Hallmarkies to sign up for Letterboxd because all of the Hallmark movies and even just rom-coms in general get steamrolled. Like we need more fans, you know,
yes,
like building them up because they get all just like horrible. And what makes me crazy is when you have people that are like, it was so much fun, 2 stars. Like what? It makes me crazy. But anyway, check out Letterboxd. It's a lot of fun. And make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really, really helps us a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We are getting so close to 10K subscribers. By the time because this will probably come out in a bit, by the time we might even be at 10K. So if you are watching, please like and subscribe. And we have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support everything we do. And we have monthly watch-alongs and patron events and bonus episodes. We really try to make it worth your while. And we have our merch store. We have tons of fun holiday-inspired merch, so check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Merry Christmas.